I'm Lucy.
And I'm Jennifer.
You're listening to Everything I Know About.
Each week, we share everything we know about a new topic, equipped with some internet research and a little too much exposure to pop culture. I'm not drinking Starbucks today.
Wow, Dunkin'.
I think I've been converted.
Really? It's like the people's coffee.
I know, I honestly think I've been too much of an asshole to convert, and my mom has been drinking Dunkin' lately. And there's a Dunkin' and a Starbucks right next to each other. So like after Pilates, when we would go get coffee together, we would go to both. And I'm like, this is stupid. The line's really long. I'll just try Dunkin'. I was like, fuck, it's actually good. I'm such an asshole. Like there's nothing wrong with Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh, we'll start with that clip. I'm such an asshole. As we get into this topic for today.
Yeah, so I am the asshole and I've been corrected.
We are doing another Am I the Asshole episode. And this one is holiday themed. Reading all the posts was so fun. I feel like there's so much drama that comes with families getting together and holidays in general. So I found a lot of juicy ones.
Oh, there was so much content.
The themes that I was noticing were like Thanksgiving food preferences. So like vegans and non-vegans fighting and a lot about just the amount of work that people put in to hosting these events and then not being equal and then drama around that. So we'll definitely get into those in my section. What about for you?
Yeah, I was noticing a lot of food related stuff too, and like men versus women labor division, which I don't know. I was kind of wanting to talk about that, but also I'm like, I feel like that's just something that we all know happens. But there were a few that I saw where it was like the women would kick the men out of Thanksgiving dinner because they didn't help at all.
Oh, wow.
Like that's kind of badass. And everyone was like, not the asshole, of course. A lot of the Christmas stuff was like dark family secrets coming to light.
Whoa.
And people not behaving well when that happens. So those were really fun, but it's really hard to find ones that the people are the asshole.
Yeah.
Everything is like, no, you're not the asshole. You're not the asshole. And I feel like we ran into that problem last time, but I did manage to find two where the person was the asshole and I had thoughts about it. I was like, oh, I don't totally agree.
Oh,
so,
okay. Yeah, I feel like the more controversial ones are more fun to discuss.
I agree.
But yeah, I've been like brainwashed by this podcast I listen to called Normal Gossip. I think I've told you about this.
Yeah, you have.
So when I grew up, gossip was considered a bad thing. Even in movies like Mean Girls, I feel like gossip was always painted as this thing that girls did to be mean to one another, and it just wasn't like a nice behavior. But I've always loved gossip from a young age, and I feel like as an adult, when I started listening to the podcast Normal Gossip, they open every single episode talking about the virtues of gossip. The first question they ask their guest for that week is, what's your relationship with gossip? And that's how they always open. And I feel like it really validated my love of gossip because they talk a lot about how gossip is almost like underground communication, or it's a way of communicating information that kind of a little bit like we talked about in our Ghost Stories episode, disempowered communities, passing along notes to help other folks. Like it could be, hey, that guy is like bad news. And the Whisper Network can be like protective. And, you know, I've been listening to this podcast now for 3 years. I just notice more and more in my life when gossip is a good thing. And yeah, I've totally embraced it. So I feel like with this episode, as I was reading all of these Am I the Asshole posts, it very much felt like I was scratching that itch of, okay, I'm getting the gossip, but also it's useful to get other people's opinions.
No, I totally agree. And like, there's been so many centuries, even millennia of women being punished for gossiping. Literally those medieval bridal helmets that they would put on women who gossiped, and it would clamp their tongue down and they would have to parade publicly. So it's always been seen as dangerous. And of course, why is it dangerous? Because it's powerful. I think there's like such a stark difference though between gossip and the rumor mill. Because as someone who was a victim of the rumor mill in high school, that's not fun. But gossip is different. It's kind of just like getting the tea on what's going on, not necessarily making shit up and passing it around.
Oh, the rumor is like just lies. You're saying gossip is a form of truth.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's sometimes difficult to tell the difference, though, like what is real versus what is not, you know?
Oh, totally. That's why they feel interchangeable.
Yeah. Like you hear something and then you're like, okay, I'm repeating this, even though I don't know if it's technically truth. But yeah, I think there's obviously something different about doing it maliciously versus you're passing on something that's going to help the person you're telling to. But I don't know. It can just be fun, too. Like, these are just fun. Obviously, I'm not benefiting the person posting by talking about their post.
Yeah. I'm excited to get into it.
All right. So I can kick us off. I saw a very common theme around food preferences. And I'll just say now that I eat everything. Also, like, I've never had this conflict with my family because we all eat everything. No one in my family is really a picky eater, and my husband eats everything. In fact, I honestly think dietary preferences would have been a deal breaker if he did not. So that's just where I stand on this topic in general.
Wow, must be nice, Lucy. My parents are vegan. My brother is a very picky eater. He's gotten better over the years, but my dad is also a picky eater. He used to not even like pad thai before a few months ago. So he was like very picky. He like eats like pasta and pizza. I don't know. He's a little more lax on the veganism than my mom is, but they're both like very strictly vegetarian. I eat everything.
But you've been vegan in the past, so.
I have, yeah. So I'm forgiving of it, but I do like a culinary adventure, of course.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to have a long-term partner that has dietary preferences, though.
No.
I think that's going to be a red line.
Yeah. It's challenging. And I understand, of course, your partner may not force their dietary preferences on you, but I feel like it does make going to restaurants and sharing things challenging. And I love sharing. I love ordering multiple things because I can't make up my mind.
Or just like the experience of going somewhere. And like when I go out to dinner with my parents, it is such a hassle sometimes to like pick some place to go because a lot of places, they're more like avant-garde or highbrow. They typically don't really have vegetarian options. They'll have like 3 or 4 entrees and they're all meat usually.
Maybe that's because you live in Nashville, though. I feel like that's not a thing in New York City. There's definitely vegetarian options.
Okay, but like think about going to like a really nice steakhouse.
Sure, yeah. Probably vegans are not going to steakhouses as a rule. So.
Okay, fair.
Okay, we'll see which side you sympathize more with. So the first one is, am I the asshole for telling my vegan friend I don't want to come over for Thanksgiving dinner? Okay, so the original poster is a 54-year-old female. Her friend is around the same age, and her friend went vegan about 10 years ago. They've been friends for over 20 years, and they're part of a large group of 15 to 20 girlfriends, and they basically switch off cooking and hosting Thanksgiving. So since this vegan friend has gone vegan, the annual gathering of friends, they always accommodate her dietary restrictions. This year, this friend, we're going to call her Anne, she volunteered to host Thanksgiving. And everyone was really excited until she informed this group chat that the dinner is going to be 100% vegan. This is when people offered to bring other options, like they were going to cook a turkey and bring it. But she said that she only wants them to eat vegan because it's her house. As you can imagine, having been in large girl group chats, kind of like an awkward situation, right? So everyone's, at this point, pretty much acquiesced to this demand. Okay, so now the original poster and her husband are side-talking between them, and they basically feel like it's not really Thanksgiving without a true turkey and like the classic Thanksgiving food.
Wait, I have to pause. Is this like a Friendsgiving situation or is this the day of Thanksgiving? They're going to this vegan friend's house.
It's the day of Thanksgiving.
I think it does matter in this context if it's Friendsgiving versus like actual Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay, so the original poster says that after thinking it over and discussing it with her husband, they decide to privately tell Anne that they are not going to be coming to Thanksgiving this year. They're honest with the reason. They tell her it's because the original poster really just wants the classic turkey, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie. Anne complains to the other women in the group that the original poster is not attending because Anne is cooking. The original poster hears about this. Classic. I've had, instances in my life where I can relate to this kind of gossip happening. So the original poster finds out and tells the other women that it's not that she doesn't want Anne's cooking, it's that she wants traditional Thanksgiving food and Anne isn't willing to accommodate that. And now all of the women are not attending Anne's Thanksgiving.
Oh, poor Anne.
Poor Anne.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll discuss if it's poor Anne or not.
So anyway, the original poster ends it with, I've decided to stay out of it from here on out, but somehow Anne blames me for this whole debacle. Am I the asshole for declining to attend a vegan Thanksgiving? What do you think?
I'm going to guess the internet said, no, not the asshole.
Yeah.
Is that it?
So definitely a lot of the popular comments were not the asshole. There was disagreement. It was not universal. Before we get into what the internet thinks, I'm curious, what are your first reactions?
Okay, I am a big believer of I'm not going to police what you put in your body, so don't police what I put in mine. And so like it's cool if she's vegan and like wants some vegan options, because if the roles were reversed and it was a carnivore Thanksgiving or like an omnivore Thanksgiving and she needed some vegan options, they would have accommodated that, I assume, because they've been doing this for years. So on the flip side, why not let them eat what they want to eat? Yeah, my parents are vegan, but like my mom makes a turkey every year. And I get there's like some ethical things with it. But again, you don't get to police what other people do. So I think Anne's the asshole in this situation. However, I also have this conflicting feeling where it's like the holidays are about being together and it's not about the food. So it's like, okay, is it more important to you that you have a fucking pumpkin pie or that you hang out with your friends and be around people that you love? I think that is more important. And if I really felt so strongly about it, I would cook actual Thanksgiving like the day before or after. Because it's like you really are doing all that for like the leftovers and stuff anyway. So you can still have that while also being with all your friends. So it is complex. I would not have chosen to not come. I would have just cooked myself the meal on a different day.
Yeah. But you would have come and eaten the vegan food and acted very happy about it.
Yeah. But I like avoid conflict though. So I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, that would have been what I did.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I agree. I think it's a little nuanced. I agree that like you can't force someone to eat something. But if I were to think about how I would actually behave in that situation as a person who I don't mind conflict, I probably still would have gone. I would have gone just because I do think the point is you're going to spend time with each other. And as a result of this whole fight, literally everybody is just doing Thanksgiving in their own homes alone, which doesn't feel like the right outcome.
Wait, why wouldn't they just get together without Anne?
That would be even worse.
Would it?
Then they're literally ostracizing Anne because she's vegan.
We'll be like, we'll make a tofurkey. Like, you can come over. There's going to be meat there.
Oh, I feel like there's no way Anne would want to attend, you know?
Well, that's her problem at that point.
Oh, man. Well, so to me, I have a lot of sympathy for the perspective that it's more about the gathering with your friends than like the food itself. And I didn't see that opinion expressed in the comments here until like very far down the page.
Really?
All of the top ones were like, okay, the original poster, you're not the asshole for obvious reasons, right? Like you're allowed to decline an invitation and you're allowed to eat what you want to eat. You know, no one is saying that you had to participate in her vegan dinner. And I think another thing that this original poster got props for is just that she like told the truth, both to Anne and I guess when it blew up with her friend group, like she wasn't trying to lie. She was just straightforward and honest with the whole situation. As I kept scrolling, I did see the perspective that the original poster is the asshole because I'll just quote, "Your friend comes to your house every year and settles for not being able to eat most of the things you put on the table. She does that because she wants to spend time with you. You can eat vegan food, it's just not your favorite. She cannot eat most of what you put out. Can you not settle just to make her happy for 1 year? Just seems like a strange hill to die on."
Honestly, yeah. I kind of buy that. Yeah. I do think Anne should have just let them bring their own food, but also, yeah. And I think there's this misconception that vegan food is disgusting. Like, you can still have, like, creamy mashed potatoes. It's not like they're going to be dry, steamed balls of potato. There's going to be, like, vegan butter and, like, vegan cream in it. It's fine.
Yeah. Let's say you had a friend who wasn't vegan and she was hosting and she was just a bad cook. Would you go to her house? Like, yeah, even if she's using real milk or real cream in her mashed potatoes, maybe they don't taste that good. They could still end up dry, okay?
True. Fair.
So I think I agree more with that perspective. Somebody had responded to that commenter and said, "Absolutely wild that I had to scroll this far down to find an adult answer. OP is a picky child. Eat some of the food that isn't as tasty as usual so you can enjoy spending time with people who are supposedly your friends. She can stuff her face with McDonald's on the way home if she isn't satisfied after." Yeah, snarky. Yeah. Snarky, but
I'm on board.
Yeah, kind of true. I think this is just a situation where it's like, if you only think about your needs and the fact that you're an empowered human, which of course you are, you can make your own decisions. The original poster can obviously decide to decline. This is the situation you end up in. If, on the other hand, you try to be a little empathetic to Anne and you try to like see your friend's point of view or maybe how she's been feeling for the past 10, 20 years that you've all been having Thanksgiving together, it feels like a small price to pay to just eat her vegan food. Maybe if the poster had said, "Oh, and Anne is also trying to convert us all to veganism, and this is her introduction dinner to like try to force us all to become vegan," that would be different. This feels more just like Anne is excited to host and she wants to cook a lot of vegan dishes. And even if you brought your own food, like if I spent all day cooking like all of these dishes and like all my friends just ate food they brought, that would make me sad. This is because no one is eating my food. Like I prepared all day, you know?
And I assume poor Anne is going to like go the extra mile to make sure it's incredible because she knows all of her friends are like iffy about it. I don't know. Justice for Anne. I feel bad for her.
Justice for Anne.
All right. So here's another spin on the not so great Thanksgiving meal. So this one's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's not allowed to bring her homemade food to Thanksgiving because her cooking is ruining the meal?"
Oh, perfect. I'm curious what the internet thinks when it's not like a dietary preference thing and it's just like someone's lack of skill.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one I think is going to be controversial. So
Okay.
immediately after this, I want your fresh take
Okay.
before I tell you what the internet says. Okay. So here's the story. Every year, our family does a big Thanksgiving dinner, and we all typically bring a dish or two. My sister, who's a lovely person in every other way, insists on cooking something homemade every time. The issue, she's not a great cook. And I don't mean just not great. I mean she has somehow managed to turn classic dishes into borderline inedible creations. For context, last Thanksgiving, she showed up with her special recipe of stuffing that was over-seasoned with random spices like cinnamon and cardamom. It was dry, the flavors were confusing and totally off-putting. Only one person took a small bite, and the rest went untouched. Another year, she brought a green bean casserole that had some kind of strange, chewy texture. She later admitted she used coconut milk and almond flour, quote, to experiment. No one wanted second rounds of that either. This year, I'm hosting Thanksgiving. Since I'm responsible for putting it all together, I wanted to keep the menu consistent so that people could actually enjoy a cohesive meal. I thought I'd avoid drama by asking her to bring non-food items instead, like wine, soda, or even some flowers. I explained to her very kindly, I thought, that I just wanted to make things easy and streamlined and I'd handle the main dishes, but she didn't take it well. She got offended and told me I was being controlling and shutting her out of the family gathering. She then accused me of making her feel inadequate and said that Thanksgiving is about everyone contributing, not just me deciding what's acceptable. I told her that everyone appreciates her effort, but that she should contribute in other ways and still be part of it. She doubled down, though, and she said she wanted to bring her famous green bean casserole. Now my mom and a couple other family members have chimed in and said that she should bring whatever she wants because it's Thanksgiving and it's not like it's a crime or a huge offense to bring bad food. I feel like I'm trying to keep the meal enjoyable and frankly edible. I don't think it's wrong to want guests to actually enjoy the food, especially since I'm putting in a lot of effort to host. Am I really being unreasonable here? Am I the asshole? And before we get into it, there's a little update at the bottom. The poster goes, all right, well, things have escalated fast. My sister was being pretty cagey about what she planned to make, so I reached out, and she's hard at work with some creative menu for a Thanksgiving surprise. Apparently, it includes things like canned oysters and edible glitter. She's calling it her Thanksgiving trio experience, complete with their own place settings and little menu cards she's designing. So she's planning like some avant-garde thing to bring to her sisters. So, is OP the asshole?
OP is the asshole, yeah.
Okay, hot take. Tell me why.
One, your sister can bring a dish. Like, if it's bad, nobody will eat it. Then that's it. It doesn't need to be such a big deal. You can still have your meal, but it sounds like everybody is bringing something. So there's kind of like a potluck aspect already. Like, I don't really understand what you mean by you're curating the menu, unless you're like assigning every single person something to bring. But it sounds like from the post that it's just her sister who is asked to specifically not bring food. And I mean, like, as you were reading the post, I was like, okay, there's definitely more context here, because if that's how you really phrased it, your sister was like, what should I bring? And you were like, I would love if you brought some wine. I don't think she would immediately be like, oh, well, why don't you want me to bring green bean casserole? It feels like at some other point it has been brought up that you don't like her cooking or you don't appreciate her cooking. If that's the case, where like the sister already feels sensitive about this topic because you don't appreciate her cooking, well, like the reality is everybody has a different palate, right? And like if other people are willing to eat her green bean coconut stew casserole thing, like I just don't understand the harm of why she can not bring it and have it on the table, even if nobody touches it.
The internet agrees with you. Yeah, that's basically what everyone said. That she was the asshole, yeah, because what's the big deal? She just gets to bring her little meal. And if the problem is that OP doesn't want people to have a bad food experience and not that her sister tries to force her food down everybody's throats, like if that were the case, that would be a different issue. Mm-hmm. But since she's not and she just kind of like takes her bad food home and it's fine, then what's the big deal? Just let her get her rocks off bringing some shitty food. It's fine.
Yeah.
I kind of get that perspective. That was not my first thought, though. When I was reading it, I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with the original poster. Because there's something about when you host, and if you're, I mean, it sounds like OP is kind of like a good cook or wants to have like a really excellent meal at her house because she's hosting. I do kind of get the pride in crafting a really amazing experience for everybody. So at first I was like, you know what? It's her house. She should be able to like tell people what to bring. But also at the same time, this kind of goes directly against the Anne thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Where I was just like, oh, just like let people bring what they want to eat. But I don't know.
Yeah, to me, I think it's different if it's like, okay, guys, I'm hosting, I'm planning an experience, I'm literally making every single dish. It's going to be decorated, it's going to be themed, I even have a dress code. Okay, then I'm like, you are truly putting in the work and you are creating an experience. I feel like if you're hosting a potluck, it's almost like a different level of hosting duties. Yes, it's your house. Yes, you're going to
Yeah.
clean. But like the reason many people opt to do potlucks is because they want to not only lessen the burden on themselves, but also give their guests a chance to like participate. And like that can be fun for people, right?
Totally.
So I guess it wasn't super clear to me in this post. It didn't sound like she was making every single dish, though. It sounded like she was singling out her sister for being a bad cook.
Okay. The only way that she's not an asshole is if she's actually cooking everything herself.
Right.
If it is a potluck, then she is an asshole.
There's this new show with Nicole Kidman in it. I think it's called The Perfect Couple. And it's about a wedding. So it's not about Thanksgiving dinner, but the main character is the typical character Nicole Kidman always plays, which is like a wealthy white woman who is just very particular in her taste and everything. And she like plans the wedding and she puts in all of the work for it, but is super meticulous about how she wants things done. And if you're that kind of person, the people in your life kind of know you're that kind of person. And they're either still in your life because they can put up with that, or like they're not in your life because they think that's annoying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. If original poster was that kind of person, then I think a lot of her guests would probably already be expecting that to be her behavior for this type of thing she's hosting.
True. All right. Give us one that is not food related.
For this next one, I'm going to switch to Christmas. And it's a little early for Christmas, but this is our last episode that we're releasing for this year because we were taking a little break in December. So if you want to wait and listen to the second half of this episode in December, no one's stopping you. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my husband it's not fair he went all out for a coworker's Secret Santa but made me pick my own birthday gift?
Ooh. Yes, he is the asshole.
Yeah, I don't think this one is controversial. I just think it's entertaining. I'm going to read it and then we can chat. This to me is like true gossip. So the husband, who is 32-year-old male, the original poster is the wife. She's a 30-year-old female. She says, my husband has always been a great gift giver, but in the past few years, he has not put in nearly as much effort. We've been together for 10 years. One birthday, he gave me a custom engraved necklace of our dog, and I loved it. This year for my birthday, he asked what I wanted, which I hate, but I ended up picking out my own bag and ordered it myself. Now onto the part that makes me upset. At his job, he works with all women, and he is their boss. They are doing a Secret Santa for Christmas, and he got matched with a girl who loves to read and is into fantasy genres like dragons and magic. He bought her probably 7 different dragon-themed little gifts and trinkets. For example, tapestry, glass dragon egg, a little journal, etc. None of them were super expensive, so if that was all, I wouldn't have thought twice about it, but he also crafted a handmade mosaic of a bunch of different dragons that he stenciled on from images he found online. It looks great, and he's super talented with things like that, but I can't help but be jealous and think, why can't he do something like that for me? He spent hours on it and worked on it every night for a week.
Oh my God.
One of the gifts arrived in the mail yesterday, and I said, is this another gift for her? And he said yes. So I said, I feel like you're going over the top, and it's a little unfair I had to pick my own gift for my birthday when you did all this for her. He replied saying, everyone goes over the top for the gift exchanges, and it's not that deep. And that was the end of it. Also, I think part of it is he feels like it's a competition on who gives the best gift, because at previous exchanges, there has been a clear, quote, winner on who gave the best gift. He seems standoffish and short with me ever since we've had the conversation. Am I the asshole for bringing it up?
No, he would be getting divorce papers. That is fucked up. I'm not okay with that. What the fuck is he thinking?
Yeah, so I wanted to pick this one because obviously the reference to reading and fantasy books. It sounds like you should get this girl a little page-bound account.
Hell yeah.
But all of the comments were basically about the fact that he is probably cheating with this woman.
Oh, absolutely. That was my first thought too. I was like, they're sleeping together. Like, he loves her.
Yeah. So a lot of the comments were like, can you ask more about the Secret Santa? Was he in charge of pairing people up? How did he get this woman? He clearly cares. There's something there, both by the sheer amount of time he's spending on the gifts, but also his reaction when you brought it up and like being standoffish.
Yep. And also, if it were true that these gifts are super over the top for everybody and it's kind of a competition in that way, she would have already known that because he would have been receiving really over the top gifts for the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't have come as a surprise. So he's lying. He's a liar.
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing to talk about here is what should she do? We're speculating. I feel like something fishy is going on here. I don't know whether the original poster thinks that. Like, she didn't reply to the comments or like add any edits about like, oh, maybe he is cheating. You guys made me realize that. Like, there was nothing from her. So I'm curious, if this was your friend and she told you this, what would your advice to her be?
Oh my God. I'm so toxic. My first thoughts are like, go through his phone. No, that's not mature. Okay. Obviously, she already tried to talk to her husband about it and he's not talking. So she did the mature thing already. What she needs to do is info gather. She needs to become FBI agent. She needs to start getting in with his female coworkers, like start going to happy hour with him, start observing. And if he's weird about her hanging out with the coworker group, that's an answer right there. But I think you go FBI agent on this one.
Okay, so you try to like basically find out if there's anything going on from the other women that he's working with, but not the girl that's the dragon fantasy fan herself.
No, you cannot confront her. If anything is going on, you wouldn't know. Absolutely not, because then they'll just get like more secretive. She can't let on that she's suspicious.
Oh, okay.
She can just do like normal stuff. And then if he's acting weird about it, then that's your answer.
If she's never hung out with his coworkers in the past, don't you think he's going to think it's weird that she's suddenly asking to hang out with his coworkers?
No, she'd be like, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were so close that you do this really intense gift exchange. I feel like I should know these people that are like really close to you in your life and they sound really cool. I would love to make new friends.
Oh my God, girl.
I would love to meet them.
That's insane that you were able to just do that. Just whip that up. Okay, that was convincing. Okay, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Okay, what would you do? This confrontational over here. We're going to have a different approach, I already know.
Yeah, honestly, if it was my friend, I'd be like, wait, sorry, go talk to him again and be like, are you sleeping with this woman? I would be like,
yeah, and he's just going to be like, yes, I am.
No, but I feel like you just like read the body language and you read the reaction. And if it's like very suspicious, I mean, either way you have your answer, right? Like, unfortunately, I think probably the answer is not something the original poster is going to be happy with. So it's more just like, how soon are you figuring it out and are you ready for the next steps? I would recommend this friend to start disengaging. Hopefully. It sounds like she's like really not expecting it, you know?
Yeah, but what if they aren't sleeping together and it's just like emotional cheating? Like he has a crush on her.
Sure. I guess like it depends on the person. But for me, like I would be equally as bothered.
Oh, for sure. But then you wouldn't get your answer from like the are you sleeping with her question.
No,
You could emphatically be like, no, I'm not.
You're right. That's not the right question. It would be like, please describe your relationship with this woman or something. It would have to be like broader. I agree. I would not advise my friend to go in like hot-headed and be like, you must be sleeping with her. Show me your phone or whatever. It would have to be more political, but I would recommend that she talk to him directly because, I mean, he's the one you're married to, you know, like you should be able to talk to him. If he can't look you in the eyes and like tell you the truth and like provide a plausible explanation for all this, kick him to the curb. You deserve better.
Okay. Healthy, mature approach. I agree. However, I feel like she already did try to go the route of talking to him and it's not working and she needs answers.
Yeah. Well, I feel like her approach was like, I feel bad that you don't spend that kind of time on me rather than being like, why are you spending so much time on her?
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. No, she definitely needs to try to have that conversation first and then infiltrate. Okay. I still think she should infiltrate. All right. Well, I have some Christmas themed ones too.
All right.
This one, I think this is controversial. The internet doesn't think it's controversial, but I do. So I'm very curious to see what you think. Okay. Am I the asshole for asking my daughter to come to our house for Christmas? Okay, so this is a 56-year-old woman. She goes, my husband and I host all of our kids and their families for the holiday season. This has been since they moved away for different reasons, and we use this as a way to bond with them and for them to come see each other. My sons visit us every year and we have a great time together. My daughter lives about an hour away from us by plane with her family. This includes her wife and their 2 kids. They come visit us on my husband's birthdays or mine if they can. They've never been with us for the holidays, though, since they got together 10 years ago. The reason for this is Vanessa, her daughter's wife, is a surgeon and she always has to work, including the holidays. This year, I again invited them and Alice declined the invitation for the very same reason as every year. She has to work. I suggested that the kids were now older and maybe Alice could fly out alone with them and stay with us for a few days while Vanessa kept on with her work. Alice told me there is no way that she's going to spend the holidays away from her wife. I told her how the kids were missing out on the chance to spend time with their cousins, and I'm sure they'd have fun if they came over. She told me that they already plan to spend time with Vanessa's family because they live in the same city. I may be an asshole because I again told her it wouldn't hurt anyone if she came over for just a few days, and I said I was sure Vanessa can handle that. She got mad at me this time and said she honestly only wanted to be with Vanessa and the kids and that they used this time to bond together as a family. She also called me pushy and selfish for not understanding where she was coming from and said I was being unreasonable by asking her to abandon her wife during the holidays. My husband and Jack, one of our sons, are on my side, but my other son, Harry, thinks we went too far with the insisting. So, am I the asshole?
All right, interesting. Did you see that New York Times article with the grandmothers?
No.
This is giving me those vibes. Okay, so the New York Times came out with this article that's become very controversial. I read the article when it came out and I saw later that it was getting a lot of buzz, but they interviewed all these grandmothers who their kids have decided not to have children. And so they were just expressing sadness at the fact that they're not going to get grandchildren. And a lot of the quotes were like, I respect my daughter's decision, but it still makes me kind of sad inside because now I know I'm never going to have grandchildren. Like there's kind of nothing for me to look forward to in my old age. And this is New York Times, you know? So they were like interviewing people who none of these grandmothers were like fighting their children on this. They were just kind of saying like, I accept it. Even one quote was like, my daughter has made it clear to me this is a topic that we are not to talk about. So clearly there's been conversation where like boundaries have already been established. And the article itself is more just about the grandparents coming to accept this fact and like that being a sad thing. And so anyway, I was thinking about this as you were reading because I was like, okay, I feel like that's probably where this original poster is coming from. The impulse is very sympathetic, which is that she just wants to spend time with her grandkids and like her kid and probably feels like she never gets to. And it's not really her fault that she doesn't live in the same city as them. And so as a result, like never sees them. So I feel like a lot of empathy towards the original poster. I feel like the daughter, her reaction, I don't know if this is like a pattern of behavior and that's why she reacted in such like a quick trigger manner, but that escalation from like not being able to empathize with your mom and like why she's asking you to spend time, you know, and like come home for the holidays or whatever, and just immediately being like using a lot of this like no contact language, I feel like was too quick of an escalation unless there's prior history there around this topic. I think at the end of the day, like obviously the daughter has her life and her kids and she can make the decision around where she wants to spend the holidays. If that time is just a particularly bad time for her and her wife, I would say like probably the compromise would be like just to visit at a different time. I totally like have a lot of sympathy for the fact that you want to spend Christmas how you want to spend it with your like nuclear family. To me, like the solution to this is easy, which is literally just be like, I'm not coming home for Christmas, but I'll come in January and I'll bring the kids. I don't know why it has to have like so much pressure around this particular set of days in December.
I get it actually why it does for the grandmother because all of her other kids and grandkids are there. So it's not just her spending time with them. It's like, all of them together as a family. And that's very special. And like people have conflicts all the time. It's very hard to wrangle 3 different families together. And so I get why she's like, no, I want you all to be together. And what I didn't get from her daughter's perspective is if her wife is working, why does she need to be home? Like if it's not important enough to your wife to, for 10 years, make sure she gets off for Christmas 1 year, then like, what are you doing at home with your kids? Just waiting for her to come back from work? And I get it. It's like, okay, yeah, but like she still should be able to hang out with her wife on Christmas and like see her kids and stuff. Fine. But like, why can't they do Christmas another time? Because it's just them, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, this affects like 3 other families if they don't go to Christmas on that day.
Yeah. That's fair. You're saying like you can still do all your at-home Christmas traditions since it's just the nuclear family anyway. You could just do that on a different day and like have the exact same experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially because she's working. Like do it on a day where she's not working and like celebrate Christmas then. And then like on the actual day of Christmas, go let your kids hang out with their cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree that it feels like you should prioritize the thing that like all your whole family is coming together with and like everybody's schedule is coordinating. I wonder though if there's like, again, I just get stuck on her like quick reaction, which is just like, you're being pushy, you're like doing all these things. Like to me, I'm like, why would you say that to your mom unless there was a pattern of behavior? This was not the only time that this is being asked. Because this feels like a very reasonable ask in isolation, you know? Like, yeah, it's been 10 years. You haven't gone home, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Maybe there's some like trauma because like she has a wife and kids and stuff. You don't know how that went down with the family, how accepting they were. That was kind of my first reaction too. I was like, oh, is this maybe some lingering trauma from like not being accepted? And then now you're like, oh, you want to take me away from my wife on a holiday? I was like, okay, that thread could be interesting, but we don't have any of that context.
Yeah. What did the internet think?
They all thought that she was the asshole.
The original poster, the grandma.
Yeah. Basically, everyone was like, she made it very clear to you that she wanted to spend the holidays with her wife, and that is so reasonable. So you shouldn't have insisted at that point. She's an adult. She has a family. That's the end of it.
Oh, wow.
And everyone felt that way.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
I feel for the grandma. I totally get where she's coming from.
They all said that they understand.
Okay.
Yeah, we get that you want to see your grandkids, but like, it's your daughter's decision and you have to respect it. Basically, like the second she says no, you can't be pushy, which I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky. Family stuff is so tough.
I'm like 0 for 2 on thinking these people aren't the asshole, what everyone else does. This happened last time, I feel like, too, where I was like, no, they're not the asshole.
Yeah, well, I feel like the internet, of course, they're going to be like, you're allowed to set boundaries. Because usually I feel like it's people who are setting some sort of boundary. And that's why they're coming to the internet, because they're like posting about it because people in their lives aren't respecting their boundary, you know?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hopefully this was a little entertainment for you as you head into your own Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. If any of our listeners have their own Am I the Asshole or like holiday family drama stories, definitely write into us.
Let us know, yeah. Or if you're fighting with Uncle Joe over the Thanksgiving dinner table, just think about these situations that other
especially
people...
this year. There's definitely going to be definitely going to be some drama this year.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't see anything for the election stuff. I'm sure like the week after Thanksgiving, Am I the Asshole is just going to be littered with family political drama.
Totally.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Christmas to everybody. We will be back in 2025.
Yeah. We'll see you in the new year. Bye, everybody.
See you in the new year, everyone. Bye.
If you enjoy the pod, we would love for you to give us a follow and rate us on Apple Podcasts, which helps us get the word out and reach new listeners. Our sources are available on Patreon, where if you choose to become a patron, you'll also get access to bonus content, our monthly book club, and our eternal gratitude.
If you'd like to get in touch or suggest a topic for a future episode, email us at everythingiknowaboutpod@gmail.com or DM us across all socials at EikaPod, that's EIKA pod. Thanks for listening and see you next week.